Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Funky Marketing Show, the show where I get a chance to talk with beautiful people that are doing something differently with a bit of funk. And today I have a pleasure to be joined by my friend Zineb Layachi. She was already a guest on the podcast in one of the first episodes, and now she's back. But before I introduce her, uh, all of us are going to listen to the funky intro. Zineb, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a long time. We managed to catch up a little bit like a few days ago, but now it's time to go all in, as they
Yeah.
say. So, for starters, I'm sure that most of the people who will watch know who you are, but tell them a little bit about your background.
Yeah. So I am if I'm on LinkedIn, if I'm online, I'm on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is like a big part of what I do each day. But I'm passionate about two things. So I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs learn from their customers. I think there's too much emphasis on more traffic, more leads, more, and not enough on let's take time to learn from those that put their hands in their pocket in their pockets and paid for our service. The other thing I'm passionate about is video. So you're gonna, if you follow me or if you do after this decide to check out my content, you're gonna see that I do talk quite a bit, and I do quite a bit of video. I think it's a great way to get inspiration, to get real buyer stories. We're always on, discovery calls, sales calls, like running webinars, workshops, whatever it is, it's all there. But it's also a great amplifier of us, right? So adding video to the mix is super important.
Love it. And also, you start wearing hats suddenly, so that's why
Exactly,
both of us
exactly.
are now wearing hats.
Yeah, I'm copying you, Nemanja.
Not sure. I wasn't the first one that appeared on the video with a hat. So
I think it was Nick Bennett. I think it was Nick Bennett. No,
yeah, like
probably.
people from the US, they tend to just put the hat on, and they got like this non-formal version of themselves.
Yeah.
And that was when you already mentioned that was something that was very interesting to me from the start, because I had a like 250, 70 conversation virtual coffees with people before I started Funky, and like having conversation with different people who I'm seeing as people in suits sometimes on LinkedIn, then they appear on a video with a hat, like totally different person.
That's why I like your style. I feel like it's always the same whenever I see you, you're giving a talk or you're at a networking event or I don't know, maybe you'll surprise me and you'll tell me that, when you go in to talk to clients, you go in with a suit. I don't know.
Sure. Just the upper part from time to time. But it's interesting. I don't know, like my ex bosses and everyone tend to, when it's like an occasion which is public, demands public speaking or speaking with the clients, whatever, they tend to like use like more formal wardrobe. And I'm like, you know, I have everything that I need inside my head. I have my knowledge. I know what I'm doing, so I don't care. But one mistake that I'm always making is when I appear on a TV show, on a media, and lots of times I forget that I don't need to go in short trousers. And then they put me on a higher seat. Like it looks ridiculous.
Note to self.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So you and I did the episode like back in the day, the end of it, something like that, the other part of the year. So uh, now the harder question: what happened between? Because like lots of stuff has changed, and we're gonna consume and talk about all those stuff. But how would you say what happened when you look back and like a year and a half ago?
Has it been that long though, Nemanja?
I think yeah. I
Wow.
think yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think,
We're
I
friends for a long time now.
yeah, yeah. Time flies. I think that one of the biggest changes has been, you know, evolving my business. So constantly evolving my business. In the last, well, I don't know if to call it iteration, but the last one, I couldn't really. It was just very hard for me for people to understand what it was, the benefit that I gave them, or the potential benefit that I could give them, right? Because you know learning how to interview your customers, and it's like opening that Pandora's box, being comfortable with the mess, being able to make sense of all that for you to actually um, come out with a positioning that makes sense, messaging that makes sense, all that makes sense. It just, for me, it just felt like I was missing something. I was missing something. And in this last iteration, I still have a long way to go. I'm tweaking the messaging. Every chance I get, I listen to, whenever I talk about what I do, I listen to the other person's facial
Hmm.
reaction first, to the questions, and all that. So constantly, I'm in learning mode right now. When are we not in learning mode? But
Yeah.
anyways, it just made sense what I said at the beginning in the intro, is that I sort of like I'm finding I've mixed these two things that I'm really passionate about, right? And I feel like it's almost clicking, right? The good thing is that in the meantime, I have clients, so that's good. It's not like I'm sitting here waiting for it to click. So that's good. And then so every single time, it's just more social proof, more learning. Is this yet another customer interview where I get to dig in and understand, ultimately why me, right? And why not others, and what are they comparing me with, right? What else did they did they look into before? So I'm in this process. It's super exciting. It was a bit scarier, I think, a few months ago, but as soon as I hit publish on the website, the new version, and now I'm just consistently every 2 or 3 days making tweaks. People randomly send me feedback, so it's that, I would say, is the biggest change. On a personal note, though, um, I mean, my business is personal, so there's really no way to separate those things, right?
Yeah, that's the struggle. That's the struggle when you start a
Yeah,
business, right? I mean, until or when you decide to involve other people, it's all on you. I mean, even if you involve other people, if you are the one leading the business, it's all up to you. And everything you do includes, like relationships, family, everything, everyone.
absolutely. 100%. So on a personal level, I think I really just understood, in my bones at the end of last year, that if you don't really want this, it's never going to work out. Like, you really need to, you have to want it, right? It's not a, oh, it's nice, right? And now I am kind of talking about LinkedIn also a little bit, right? And also that people that are um, not as good as you are making a ton more, and they have a lot more clients. So you're like, so what is this? No, stop being stop being a douche, and get cracking. No. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that's something we are all dealing with. I don't know. And you know what is interesting, because like you and I are both interviewing people and doing lots of conversations, and you can see the level on which someone is, right? When you talk to those people, and then you see they going, growing and growing, and you feel like, look, I talked to that guy or to that women, whatever, like, and I know some things better than her or than him. I'm better in those things. How come they are making progress and being more successful than I am? What am I doing wrong? So then you come back to yourself and you start questioning things around, optimizing, and it goes on. And I think that never stops.
Absolutely, and I think it's more since we brought up this topic, it really is when you see those examples out there, because there is business for everyone. I'm not trying to put anyone down, but when you see
Of
that
course.
example, you're like, well, what am I doing being stupid here with either my fears or whatever it is, right? Oh no, I don't want to bother, or whatever it is, right? Let's give it the best chance for it to actually succeed or fail, which means that it would still be a success because you would just move on to the next thing, learn and move on. Um, but yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so in a way, are you doing the same things that you are doing for the client for yourself? That's what comes to my mind now. Like,
A big fat yes. Yeah, that process of eating my own dog food is, yeah, that was, I've been talking about it for a year and doing it, right? And it has been a really challenging process. And it actually helped me be even more actionable in the work that I do with clients, because one of the things that um, clients have always told me for years is that, yeah, there's strategy, but it's, if there are tips or if there's advice, it's always actionable, right? And so the fact that I've been eating my own dog food has made it even more actionable. And especially keeping in mind the context, what has worked for me probably won't work for you, Nemanja, right? So it's, I'm even more focused on the context, which means that I know who I can help much better and who I cannot help much better than a year and a half ago, right? Mm,
yeah,
mm.
yeah, and that is something. I think we both learn. Like, I changed the way from like growing an agency to now more of a consulting firm. You went more in the direction that you saw a potential to go, and it's just interesting to follow the paths. The people that you know how they are developing and where they are going. Like these days, I'm also looking at the people that have worked with me in funky marketing, and now they are going to their next steps, and I'm looking like, okay, did I see that coming, or is that something that I consider a fit? And like, I'm happy for them. They're all going to the next step, and it's good, because like not everybody is meant to be entrepreneurs. Some people are really great at what they do, and that's okay. Maybe one day they will want to do something else, as I did. Like after 10 years in marketing, I became an entrepreneur. Also, you worked in a corporation, then you started to become freelancer entrepreneur, and that's how life goes.
Yeah,
And and,
no,
and that's
absolutely.
that's exactly the path that actually you are working with the companies to kind of guide them, to learn from the customers and to optimize further their business and to grow it based on that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel, and this is every single time I get, I see it again and again. We all, and I, put myself in the same boat. We all have everything. We have everything we need. We just don't know how to see it, right? So that's why,
Yeah,
having someone come in from the outside, just not a client, but just a mentor, a mentoring session. I mentor maybe once or twice a month with FemGems, a wonderful organization. Um, and so the session was, I have this challenge, which is, what channel to go to, how to grow, etc. But the entrepreneur didn't have the answers to the basic foundations. Now, what's even better, I'm not going to say worse, I'm going to say better, it's because the answers are right there, right? So
Hmm.
I gave them homework to go and look at that, first of all. And they came back a few hours later with, wow, mind blowing, right? So that'll take them on a new direction. Now, if you want more help, I come in again, right? To help you make sense of it. But we have all that. I have another client, we're doing a revamping of a website. Everything is there. It's just a
Hmm.
bit all over the place. We got to make a story that makes sense, understand what people need to see first, and then next, and then next, and then next, right? And when I say people, I mean their people, their potential people, and take all the things that they already have and just put it. So this, I'm going to put it here. No, this doesn't make sense here. I'm going to put it there, right? This, I'm going to dedicate a whole page on it because it's super important. Because through interviewing customers, I realized that it was just right. And but in general, we have everything. We just A, don't know how to look at it, and B, it's like, oh well, I'd rather just go do ads or go look for more something where I have that instant gratification. So yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and I think we're all guilty of that. Like
Yeah, me too.
with no exceptions. Like we all are. Like for example, like I'm looking at my LinkedIn this morning, and I was like, I know if I post these things, I know what will happen. But should I do that? It's that this is what I need to do, and this is what I know will work, but maybe it's not the right thing. And it's always these things, because like it's like a dopamine trigger, and it makes you do the things maybe you don't want to, but you will get gratification right away from those things, right? And it's kind of tricky, but we were talking a little bit and started talking about telling the story and all those things, and you started talking like some people don't have the story, some people have elements part of the story that are all over the place, so they need help with actually coming up with the story out of all those elements. And it's kind of like a puzzle, right? You help them get on the right track and create something out of the elements that they have over there.
Absolutely. And I have well, one of, for posting on LinkedIn, I just use my notes app most of the time. That's where I put my ideas. And one is how I deal very well with messes, right? Like someone might get stressed out or, just paralyzed by a lot of data, uh, being qualitative or quantitative, like it's the same thing. I don't, right? And the reason is, you give me something that's, when you start interviewing customers and having conversations with potential buyers, just people from the industry, to learn about how people make decisions and start making your own groupings and understanding, it's like opening Pandora's box. So either you just keep your cool and start letting your letting it click slowly, slowly, and being okay with it just not being the right track and having to unclick everything and go back again, right? Type of thing. I think that's super important. And when you talk about story, Nemanja, you know, you come up with something, then you need to put it out there, right? And then that's when the real learning comes up. Mm.
Are you going to take a photo of the puzzle? Are you going to put it on the wall? What are you going to? Are you going to rebuild it again if it's not good? Like all those things seems like an easy choices, but they are not, and all of them goes back to before you had a story, so to the customers, right? And but tell me, we had Ryan Paul Gibson on the show, and he gave a few insights of how he's doing things. But so I don't want to go into that process, but I want to ask you to kind of, are there some specific things that you ask people or you lead them towards the answer to give you the stuff that are hard to get out of them? For example, stuff that are maybe personal, maybe it's, I don't know, some, I'm not coming up with examples, like maybe somebody has started a business out of something that was I don't know, the personal pain or the issue or something like that. How do we come up with those things and make people talk about them? Because I think that's where we actually change things. Like Andy Ruskin, that both you and I are mentioning from time to time. Um, Andy, hello.
Yeah. Hi.
But like he is starting from change. Also, that's what I'm doing. But like that change, if we want to name it, I feel
Hmm.
like the best thing is coming like with something that is already familiar to us and we have been through the process in the way. Otherwise, I don't feel like we can connect to the way we name the change. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. I mean, and if in my answer you realize that I hadn't, I didn't understand, then you just stop me and be like, no, you're on the wrong track. But it's like when we the two of us are on this conversation. I don't know exactly what to expect, like word for word. It's not like I know that minute one you're going to ask me this, minute two, right? So there's this element of trusting your gut that that'll make you ask follow-up questions when needed, right? I think. Shout out to Ryan. He's the big expert at all that. um, but if you understand you want to learn, right? This is what I want to know. I want to know, for example, the most recent one is I did customer interviews for enterprise, right? They're a lot tougher. You don't usually get the decision maker, or right? You don't usually get to understand how those options got into the columns, like one of three,
Hmm.
because that's what I would like to know. Um, Generally, it's through word of mouth. This is what I'm learning in this case. But you want to understand, first of all, capture the user, the person that is actually using. In this case, it's a service, right? So the one that's using it every single day, I want to capture how they did it before and how they're doing it now and how that has changed their life. But I absolutely, one of the things that I agree with this, Nemanja, one of the things that I love is it feels like fill the blank. It feels like.
Hmm.
I love that it feels like, right? It used to feel like and it feels like now. And I hang on to those like in my notes. I'm like, and if I can, I'm gonna use that. Any place I can. The everything what it allows them to do now that they couldn't do before, that's super important. I mean, there are other elements, of course, but when it comes to the one that's going to be using it, um, yeah, that's and how, of course, how they would describe, if they would recommend, how they would talk about it, top three things that they use, just digging in. If it's a SaaS, it depends if it's a SaaS and there's a free trial, the questions differ a little bit, right? But whenever we can get to the feeling, I really like that. Mm.
Yeah. um, I'm laughing because I'm listening to you, and then I remember the thing that is written in your about section when it say we'd all be crushing it if the saying was people buy from robots. uh, and it's the perfect example, like, when are some things that we cannot automate, and when like empathy and actually knowing what you want to ask, coming prepared to the interview matters a lot. And also those things that you mentioned, like, what are you going to ask next, based on, what you want to get out of that person, out of that conversation. And it's still stunning to me how little companies are actually doing that or have been doing that. Like, I just got a question today from Trent Anderson, like, how many people actually respond and give you the right answer, the long form answer, when you ask them. Because I wrote a post when I say these are the questions that I'm asking companies before I send them the proposal and before we start working together. Like, who are your ideal customers? How would you describe them? And and all those details, and like how many of them actually know the detail. Who is that person? And it's funny because there's no middle. Like, majority of people either have all the information or they don't have any information. They just assume. And like, if we put those things together, like majority of those actually assume. And they say, we know them. Like, I'm the developer, I know developers. Like those kind of stuff. And actually, he is chasing a totally different engineers that are doing totally different industry, for example. Like, and those things are still happening. And I feel like uh, you, Ryan, and other people are speaking more about those things in a different way, and it helps, raise the awareness about the importance of those things. So those are the things, when you don't set up the foundation right, the business will fail at one moment. It can be when you are on the top. It can be you not even reach the neighborhood.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. I mean, if you know, recently I did a post on, social proof is even proof for us, right? And if we use that same example, it's all this that we're doing, we're talking about right now, is also important for us to get confidence to keep us going, because the journey is, right, the journey is all over the place. What keeps us going gives us confidence that we're going in the right direction, right? So that's super important, because it's backed up by, you know, it's not scientific, right?
Hmm.
But it's very close to, to a silver a bullet. But at least you have something. It's not the same as sitting down, having a meeting. And I've been in meetings. Heck, I've led meetings like those. Terrible. I know. It's like everything sounds great. It sounds great, and then once you put it out there, it doesn't resonate. It doesn't click. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and like those are the hard topics to have conversations around, and especially to tell the company, like, look, like, this what you are doing, like this campaign or these articles are not performing well. You're not getting the revenue because you are actually didn't do your research the right way, and you don't know specific about your customers. You don't really understand them. And when you tell that to somebody who has built a huge business, for example, and he needs that to go to the next level, the ego starts playing the role, right? And then it's time for the hard conversations. Like, I built this business. What did you do? Right? Those are the things that's happening all the time. But I think, like, I want to get the story to your approach, especially on LinkedIn, because I think you are relaxing the tone and everything by using the different narrative and different tone of voice. Because you know, you are funny using humor, using, I don't know, like video, especially in a different ways. Like, I don't, you tell me if you have like specific templates of videos that you're using. In my opinion, you are using lots of different stuff anyway, just having fun with it. And when something looks like you want it to look, let's go, let's try it out.
Yeah, I love how you said different. Um, but at the end of the day, it's, we can, we're not going to make something, we're not going to innovate. We're not going to create something out of the blue. There are people that do, but I know that that's not what I'm going to do. Right. So the foundations are here. People have talked about the foundation for years, but you and I can have the same message. And this is something I learned. It's ingrained in me right now, is that you and I can say the same thing, but it won't resonate with the same people, nor will it resonate at the same time with those people. So that's why you have your people and I have my people, right?
Yeah.
So that is something that maybe it took me forever to actually understand, not just up here, because I've known this for years and I've preached it, but I really feel it in my bones. Like I think this is the second time I say that I feel it in my bones today, Nemanja. This episode is is
It means that you actually feel it.
I do. So it's just me being me, or at least me in the sense that I mean, I am more me than I was 10 years ago, and I'm very happy to not have to overthink things. I like that. And I'm just going, trying different things and seeing, maybe I have to hit the extreme to sort of understand, that was the limit. No, I have to take it a step further. I still have to take it a little step further. I don't know what that's going to mean, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just listen to you and I'm like, yes, yes, yeah, that's it, that's it. Because I know the journey as well. I don't know uh, the final point, and I know what I want to do on that journey. Where it's gonna get me, I have no idea.
And that's a beautiful thing. Okay.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about LinkedIn and the way you're doing things, because maybe there are some other people, but I don't see them that much often in the field now. Um, the way you are using videos, the way you're coming up with a post, like lots of different stuff. You expect somebody who has your background, for example, to come up uh, differently. When I say differently, I look at the episode that we recorded. I don't know what it was like a year ago, or but you were more formal,
Hmm.
and I look at the transformation. Like it's more. That was you in a way, but now you are letting something that was in out. That's how I see it.
Yeah. I'm still feeling it in my bones, right? Just to say it again. No, absolutely. Absolutely. LinkedIn has been a big part of that. I mean, I'm sure you've heard me say this again and again, but LinkedIn, I was on LinkedIn 2000, well, I was on LinkedIn even before, but 2019, I started to take it a bit seriously. And when COVID hit, um, literally 2 days before they announced the lockdown, I lost 80% of my revenue. Poof, right? So I freaked out for a couple of days, serious freak out. And then I said, okay, let's go. Come on, we're going to get cracking on this whole LinkedIn thing, right? So, and then I made tons of mistakes. We also met at the very beginning of that new journey of mine. I made a ton of mistakes. I had, conversations. I think, part of my growth has been conversations, right? This
Yeah.
volume, doing that stuff that doesn't have an apparent ROI, right? So I'm very, very, very happy. But I've been slowly trying, i- being more okay with experimenting things. And
Hmm.
I want to say this for everyone that's watching, and for you and I, is that once you get more comfortable, right? So when I say more comfortable, more confident, I also mean in terms of business, right? More
Mm-hmm.
comfortable, more confident in the channel you're in, right? Having an audience, having a people that support you, that you learn from, right? Not just people that will just like your posts and that's it. No, people that support you, that you learn from. They're, they'll tell you the truth when you're like, they don't get your post. They'll tell you, or are you okay? What are you on? No, they'll praise you, they'll poke you, they'll challenge you, they'll. So I think that is super important because that's what stops a lot of people. Um,
Yeah.
it stops a lot of people from doing video. It stops a lot of people from just not from not overthinking, from going from this to or from a sales call or a customer call with a client where they talked about the specific example they went through. Take that and post about it, right? So not doing that is because you don't have that support, and people that only go on there and post and not do anything else, so just ask, 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 and not give, it's normal. Hmm.
Yeah, and look, I relate that a lot with who we are, how we grew up, especially like our generation. Because I'm looking at younger peeps. Like for example, Ali, who is working with me, is totally different. He's 22, 23, and he's young. He knows already lots of stuff, but like this is my goal. This is what I need to do to get there. I'm gonna do it. If it doesn't work, I will find another way. I don't care. I'm not gonna sit here and think about the purpose of life. Should I do it? As we, the older generation, does it, right? And we need support system because we overthink things a lot. And I think I mentioned to you and Yag and Juliana a lot. Like we build our businesses based on people overthinking it, especially in B2B. Like that's what's happening in every single position inside the company, in every single point in the buyer journey. Like people are overthinking things, and if you can make it simple for them, if you can give them support system, that will change things. Like relationship marketing and everything. And it's kind of interesting that that's also like I don't know, like when Drift took over LinkedIn, and like some other companies that are out there right now. I was listening to Devin Reed also speaking about it, how they are doing, like Chili Piper. They have the support system inside the company, and that allows people to be more free. The company enables them to go out there and be active. But when you are a single person, it's way harder. It's way harder because you're still the one pressing the button, right, and going out there. And I'm interesting to know what are some triggers that you have seen early that I'm guessing that you didn't just started to express your humor and everything right away, right? Because usually that's how it was LinkedIn a couple of years ago. It was everybody was serious, straight, like professional. Like smiling doesn't mean we are professional, like and so you need to break through those circles. And what are some triggers that you have seen early that allow you to go more and more into that direction?
That's actually a very good question. That I don't know if I can answer, but I will say that when I start when I get into something new, um, I don't read the manual. I try to figure stuff out, right? So I try to see if I press here, what's going to happen, and then that's what I did with LinkedIn. So what does that mean? Is that I connected with tons of people, right? And after a while, from when you with volume comes also less overthinking, and you become more you because it's a pain. if you're not you and you want to get to volume, right? Because it's,
Hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense. Like at some point, if you're doing it once every month, that's fine. You can still pretend to be, more
Pretend to be.
upright,
I love that.
pretend to be more polished. But when you have to do it, I don't know, 40 times a day, it gets tiring. At some point, it just you just let go, right? And you're more you. I think, and now that I'm talking about comments, I think comments did um, do a lot for me because you also have to exercise your creativity, and it just started happening. And recently I've started incorporating gifs. They've added a whole layer to what I express, right? Whether it's funny or not funny. So yeah, and talking to people and seeing that others, that's how they talk. They have their style of humor. And I've always, offline, I've always, I think I'm funny. I laugh at my own jokes, right? But I think
I
that,
can confirm you are, because we actually know each other offline. So
yeah, so I binge on comedy. I love that stuff. It makes you think. There's a lot of creativity. Yeah,
yeah, I told you that you should meet Marty Sanchez as well. Like
yeah.
I think you can do stand up comedy
Mm.
together, which will be quite good. And add Mario Krivokapic to that equation as well.
Oh, Mario. Yeah, Mario and I, we do the tear downs every single week. So we have her before we hit record, we have her 10 minutes, where it's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also like we didn't mention that part, and it is like you are actually providing value. You just like you use a little bit of humor to kind of like tone it down, or to I don't know, when you are sharing what you're doing with Mario, it goes with increased speed, for example. So it again makes it a little bit funny, and more consumable, and those kind of things. But the thing that I want to emphasize is that you actually educate people and give them value, share insights, and those kind of things. And that's the most important thing. I mean, you found your way to differentiate your humor to being a little bit different in that way, but you're still doing the essential job, and it is like providing value.
And Emmanuel, to be honest, I'm glad you say that, but I will actually watch the whole thing. And, people do give me good feedback, people that are not in my network. So that's nice. But it was more selfish. The reason for doing it, it was more selfish. It was more for me to showcase my thinking process, because
Hmm.
it's not like um I sell website teardowns. It's just a way for others to see how I think from a marketing point of view, with a lot of assumptions, of course, because we don't have all the context. And in that sense, and something engaging where companies could actually sign up and get their pages reviewed or torn down, speedy and 2x speed, no? And collaborating, which is another important thing on LinkedIn, is collaborations. Collaborations, collaborations,
That's the
collaborations.
biggest thing, actually.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I was sharing somewhere, I don't know where, like, yeah, like in Vedran Rashid's comments on the post. um I shared actually, what do you find when you Google LinkedIn mission? And that's exactly that. People go ahead and Google it if you want to find out. But it's relationships. And when it comes to that, I have two more questions for you. And first one is something that I started in the last episode with Catherine Ferrari Simone. And unfortunately, I didn't have a question for her because she was the first one. But I asked her to give you the question. She didn't know who is going to be the next guest. So the question is, if you have $1 million, what is the change you would make inside the company, and why?
Inside the company, so we're assuming it's my company. It's mine.
And it can be look from any perspective. It can be
Hmm.
yours. It can be somebody else's. But from your perspective, what are the things that come to your mind first when it comes to that?
Okay, so in general, yeah, the first thing is, and we're assuming that it's probably a safe assumption, that from a demand generation point of view, it's not top notch. So I would definitely put a lot more money there. I would probably hire someone if there is no one to do that. Maybe even hire funky marketing. Huh?
Yeah.
Did I get that answer right?
That's not what was on my mind.
No, and I would definitely get like I always say, you could be good at what you're doing, but getting outside perspective is super important. So before making that decision, I would definitely get on a few, go talk to a few coaches, talk to anywhere between 10 and 20 people in the industry, definitely. With $1 million, yeah.
Yeah, the thing that is on my mind right now, we got it into the humor, but like Mike Vinette, like he sold the company and got the money, and how should I spend the money? So he bought all the courses from Ty Lopez, from all the other people, and he saw that it is a bullshit, and he created a YouTube channel to talk about that it is a bullshit, and that's what is getting him money right now. So
That's awesome. Yeah, and depending on the market, of course, I keep thinking it's money, like for me. So I'm not getting $1 million. Okay, fine. But I would invest that money. I would invest a part of the money, but of course I'm thinking as an individual. Hmm.
um, let me try to give you different perspectives. So, for example, if you're looking at the enterprise level company like the one where you have been working at, like, and you have $1 million to change something,
Hmm.
what would be the answer in that case?
The first thing I would do is get that is super clear, is content wise, get all the employees, get a solid content strategist, video editor, that knows, not just a video editor from Fiverr, but like that has done this stuff, that knows how to optimize for attention and all that stuff, and just create that famous media content machine, right? Get all the employees. I mean, I'm telling you, having conversations, repurposing content like this. I want this baby on fire. You're big on employer branding and getting your employees on there, because it really is a force, especially when you talk when you're in enterprise. I mean, that's just like explosive. It can mean the difference between, I don't know who you are, and man, I see you everywhere, right?
Yeah,
That's
love
cool.
that. Love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Interesting. So, one thing that we can do is we can give people some hints where they can find out more about that website that you talked about, where they can find you and actually continue the conversation.
I mean, if I'm online, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect there. My DMs are open also. RaiseTheRunway.co if you want to see my latest creation. I do my own landing pages, so feel free to tell me if you understood or didn't understand anything, right? Open for feedback. And I'm also co-founder of PitchSlap, so do check that out too. We have funny merch.
Yeah, it's a great one. I saw the last one, but tell people what is Pitch Lab. I think
Yes.
we didn't mention that.
True, 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 true. We do investor pitch mentoring for tech startups. So co-founded that. You come in. Most of the time, people think it's their pitch is their pitch is great, but it's not. So you come, you get pitch slap, the good kind of pitch slap. I want to make this clear since we're on here. It's the good kind, the one you've actually asked for and paid for. So yeah, we just you pitch in 5 minutes or less, and we just go bam, bam, bam. It's fast paced for half an hour with actionable tips.
Love it. Actually, this is something that we'll also do in a way, because we started business talks, and one of the things that we have done is arrange that startups are gonna come from time to time and try to pitch the audience to practice and get feedback from like everybody in the audience are either entrepreneurs or working on a high level inside the companies, and I think it's going to be beneficial for the both sides.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, when there, what I think could be really great is to ask, because with crowdsourced feedback, sometimes entrepreneurs have to know how to take things with a grain of salt, right? Who's saying it, like very well. But something that we did a lot in workshops is what three things, and this is something that Taryn Hughes, my co-founder, taught me, is what three things do you remember, right?
Hmm.
So after pitching, you ask the audience what three things, and they'll tell you what three things they remembered. And sometimes it's like, well, that was like a tiny part of the pitch. How come you remembered that? Well, maybe it's because you made more emphasis at that time, or you
Yeah,
felt more
yeah,
confident. We don't know, but it's really interesting.
yeah. Sounds good. That's good advice. So, guys, we had pretty non-formal conversation, but I can assure you that we said lots of meaningful stuff. So now is the time that you go back to the beginning and actually listen to everything. Stop where you feel like you need to listen the stuff again, and maybe if you need clarification, if you need maybe help from Zineb, from me, reach us on LinkedIn, and like we always like to come up on conversations to see how we can help you and what can we do. Like Zineb is even hosting another thing, which is called like having conversations with people and actually using the how can we call it, like the snapshots of that or something like
Snippets,
that.
snippets, yeah.
Snippets, yeah,
Mm.
snippets is the right word. There's a book, Snippets of Serbia. Yeah, that's what comes to my mind. That's what you're gonna get when you're coming to Serbia.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay, Zineb, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for taking the time. I hope that we're going to see each other offline soon. Online, we are definitely here. Guys, what I can say to you is basically just keep it funky. That's always the thing. Always keep it funky. Always try to go, because what Zineb said, and one of my good friends, Vlada Vulic, also said is. If you don't make the first step, like the equation will stay the same and the results will stay the same. When you make the first step, like variables changes and the whole thing changes and you're playing totally different game. So that's all I have to say for the end.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nemanja, and thank you so much, everyone, for
Bye bye,
tuning in.
guys.